Namaste. This is Dr. Priya, Department of Human Development, Avinash Lingam University, Coimbatore. Today we are going to learn about play therapy. Many research studies have identified current trends in child counseling treatment approaches. Most counseling approaches currently used in the child counseling, such as behavior therapy and cognitive approaches, these adaptations of strategies used within the adults. Play therapy represents one of the few approaches to develop specifically for the child counseling. This provides an overview of the use of play therapy. It can be used to treat a wide range of childhood problems but appears to work with the best neurotic children. Play therapy also superior to non-treatment and promoted general adaptation and intellectual skills. The major school of play therapy are currently in use. The first of psychoanalytical school developed by Anna Freud and further refined by Melanie Klein. These psychoanalysts incorporated the major principles of psychoanalysis in their approaches. For example, strengthening the ego to minimize endopsychic conflicts and utilize the confidence relationship to help the children to overcome traumatic problems or experiences. Objectives: to outlay the history of play therapy, to know the identification and basic goals of play therapy, to understand theoretical basis of play therapy, to understand the guidelines for play therapy, to be aware of early thoughts on child analysis, to know Klein's approach to play therapy. Now we will see a history of play therapy and how it started. Play therapy was first coined by the child psychotherapist Anna Freud in 1922, 1964 and 1965, Margaret Laughlin in 1970 and Melanie Klein in 1961. These people are posted the theoretical premises for the use of play. For example, Klein in 1961 stated that every child's spontaneous play was like a substitute for the free association used within the adult psychoanalysis. For each child psychotherapy, theories and practice play different roles, but each tradition is connected by the central proposition that play transmits and communicates the child's unconscious experiences, desires, thoughts and emotions. Play therapy has approached from the elements of child psychotherapy with the specific theoretical foundations derived from the humanistic psychology tradition and attachment theory. In the 1940s, Carl Rogers initiated a new model of psychotherapy that is called as client-centered therapy, or later it can be termed as person-centered therapy. This tradition was born as a protest against the diagnostic or prescriptive perspectives of that time. Most emphasis was placed upon the relationship between therapist and the client based upon the genuineness, trust and acceptance. The person-centered approach predicted a new original theoretical perspective of personality, structure, acquisition of the psychoanalytical difficulty, psychoanalytical health and the change process within the therapy. With this approach, Axelin has developed a new approach to work with the children, and that is called as non-directive play therapy. Utilizing person-centered theoretical foundations, Axelin devised a clear, succinct play therapy. That play therapy and the method. Her account was how she worked with a young boy called Bibbs, is well known as Axelin. And Axelin described in the great detail how she worked with Bibbs and how he was able to heal himself over a period of time. She said, nobody over knows much about a human being inner world as the individual himself in emotions. Responsible freedom grows and develops from inside of the person. Her 8 principles of the therapeutic relationships inform the work of many play therapists. Clark Mounsell described his work concerned with the kind of relationship needed to make therapy a growth experiences. His stages starts with the child feeling and are being usually negative. As they are expressed, they become less intense and the end results tend to the emergence of more positive feelings and more balanced relationship with the people. Over the 50 years past, many play therapists was generally practiced and researched within the America. This has been led by many play therapists including Mostan, Scanchfair, Ladden, and we have also progressed Axelin original formulations and devised different models integrating elements of systematic family therapy, narrative therapy, solution focused therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. In Britain, play therapy was started to create a new and different tradition during 1980s. In parallel, two drama therapists started using these play therapy methods to notify their drama therapy and exercise with the children. Hugh Jennings and Anne Catach integrated elements of non-directive play therapy to formulate British play therapy movement. In 1990, the Institute of Drama Therapy started to offer a certificate and diploma in play therapy. In 1992, the British Association of Play Therapy was initially started with a group of people who are professionals in drama therapy. Since then, BAPT has developed the British play therapy movement, and now it offers many different types of training courses in the UK. But in India, such type of courses are not available. Play therapy. Play therapy is the vigorous process between the child and play therapist, where the child explores his or own play pace with his or his own experiences. These experiences may be of past and present, conscious and unconscious, which are troubling to the child in the present situations. The child's inner feelings are enabled by the therapeutic process to bring changes in the growth and development. Play therapy is always child-centered, and it is a primary medium to speech in the source of secondary medium. Now we will see what are the goals of play therapy. The primary goal of play therapy includes helping a child in minimizing his or her problems or troubles or negative feelings, which is also a resolving grief, depression, anxiety or stress. And it is also a method of overcoming trauma to adjust in a new life events such as loss of parents, coping with the illness, divorce, phobia, work in school, homeworks, managing anger and temperaments, to be able to attend better and to adjust with the learning difficulties or physical disability. When these goals of psychoanalytical play therapy are more aspiring and also determined to change, not just to overcome behavioral or emotional problems or systematic, but a broader, deeper and more crucial aspects of child and her ways of dealing with the life problems. Play therapy can use to reduce the harsh integrity in a child who do not accept to give himself a break. It will help a child to integrate several aspects of personality development or help the child to directing his developmental task in the later stages. And this therapy can be helpful to isolate or detach child to connect more themselves with the family, friends, community and others. Play therapy is enormously good at supporting self-resiliency and adaptableness, which help every child to reduce susceptibility to psychological, emotional disorder or borderline disorders, especially when the child is under stress, anxiety or depression. It will help the submissive child to grow more responsible, active, happy, comfortable, encourageous and impulsive. It is also proposed to go beyond immediate discomfort, pain or internal conflict or trouble, or clear the way which helps the child to grow in a healthy manner in which appropriate to development in all the stages of his life. It is effective in helping a child in difficult conditions or situations. The psychoanalytical counselor conceptualizes play in a manner similar to the association. From this perspective, play allows children to express themselves freely and spontaneously. The counselor role in this process is passive interpretative. For example, if a child printed a picture with the dark objects, the counselor might ask, "Are you feeling sad or gloomy today?" This approach suggested that counselor conveys a warm and accepting attitude towards the child and encourages the child to explore different play materials and ideas freely. As the child plays, the counselor attempts to convey empathetic understanding to the reflecting what the sense of the child is experiencing. Now we will see how theoretical basis of play therapy works. Play therapy emphasizes the client trustworthy. Play therapy is generally based upon the three critical theoretical applications of principles. In that, first one is actualization. Humans are motivated by an innate tendency to develop constructive and healthy capacities. This disposition is to actualize each person's inner potentials, including aspects of curiosity, creativity and desire to become a more effective and autonomous. The need for positive regard. All people necessitate warmth, respect, acceptance from the others, especially from significant others. As children grow old, they develop the need of positive regard converts into a secondary learned need for the positive self-regard. Play is like a communication. Children use play as their primary source of communication. Play is a setup of transmitting children emotions, ideas, thoughts, values and perceptions. It is a medium of creativeness and socialization. Now we will see how play therapy works. Play therapy provides a difficult child in a space of safe from physical, psychological harm where he or she can let his temper tantrums, troubles and negative feelings to explore positive thoughts and feelings or ideas for his life. This therapy considers along with the child-centered approach in a more reliable way and which helps the child to feel better and function normal. Play is the only way where every child explores him in a safe, trustworthy environment and can easily convince with his found someone to self-explore. Psychotherapist empathetically and carefully listens and responds to a child deeply in play therapy, which facilitate interventions to meet the client where he is emotionally neither falling flat or irresistible. The atmosphere of therapy should create a constant opportunities to communicate with the child as well as to explore to the core. Now we will see guidelines for play therapy. Play therapy could be conducted individually or in a small group of people which is having 2 or 3 children in certain cases if problem are same or alike. The play therapy room should be approximately 15 by 15 feet. It should fit for 2 or 3 adults and at least 3 to 4 children, but small enough to encourage a sense of closeness between the counselor and the child. If the room is too big enough, the child may wander off. The counselor should guarantee the privacy. No one should be permitted into the room when play therapy is happening. When play therapy room while a session is in progress, interruptions can be a major distraction from the counseling process. The counselor should obtain different play materials such as puppets, dolls, molding clay, crayons, watercolors, materials, paper, pencils, story aids, musical instruments, drums, etc. The counselor should establish limits within the child during the first session regarding time and behavior. In terms of time, the session length can vary according to the time available but should not be exceed too much or more than 1 hour. The length of time should be determined before the first session and adhere to as much as possible. Regarding behavior, the counselor should restrain a child who acts in an aggressive, hostile manner. It may even be necessary to discontinue the play therapy session if the child persists in being hostile. When a child abuses a toy, the counselor can use logical consequences. For example, the counselor might say, "It looks like you are not ready to use the drum today. I will put it up for now. Some other time you can carry on and to use it the way if it is supposed to be used." In communicating, counselor should use friendly, kind voice, especially if the sense of a child feels insecure. Not talk down to a child in terms of tone of voice and use the appropriate vocabulary level so that the child will understand the words. While it may be necessary to be firm with a child, it is probably counterproductive to be this term. Counselors should let themselves laugh and have fun with the child, and they should talk from a positive perspective using encouragement whenever or wherever possible. Early thoughts on child analysis. Early emotional development of a child was considerable interest. However, it was not until after the First World War that the first children became subjects of analytic treatment in their own right. It is obvious that children could not be expected to manage their psychoanalytical setting without a counselor's help. Anna Freud felt that children under the age of 7 unable to do or help directly because in that age they are unable to cooperate with the adult techniques. Now we will see how Klein's approach will work. To overcome these challenges, Klein has developed a technique in which children could express themselves, in which they express through the toys and play. Klein wanted as far as possible to be able to analyze children in the same way that adults were analyzed and paying attention to the meaning of the play, and it is transference and the unconscious paratransits being expressed. In this condition, The child instead being lie on couch and bring verbal associations, the therapist could have a simple playroom containing a box or play material such as papers, crayons, cups, string, sink with taps, small figures in which child can manipulate easily and would not be too illustrative or providing maximum opportunity for the child's own imagination or creativeness to be expressed. The child could be then left free to use the play materials, the room and the therapist himself as he wished, including the therapist being drawn into the play different roles, for example, being the naughty child while the child becomes strict teacher. In present practice, the basic setting and approach to child analysis is still largely as Melanie Klein described it. It is a fantastic to notice that how available child analytic material is to non-child analysis, whereas the artificial characteristics of a setting are so different. Once we see adult material as consisting of a constant process of action through words, that it is not so much that children are like to adults in their analysis, but rather the adults in analysis continue to be children, then it is not so secretive. Child analysis and its impact on Klein's theories. Using this technique of child analysis, it was massive important in Melanie Klein's approach and especially the experience of infants' disturbance in the later stages. In the psychoanalytical play technique, Klein states that my work with both the children and adults and my contributions to psychoanalytical theory as a whole derive ultimately from the play technique evolved with the young children. I do not mean by this that my later work was a direct application of the play techniques, but the insight that I have gained into early development of a child, into unconscious process and into the nature of interpretations by which unconscious can be approached has been far-reaching influence on the work I have done with older children and adults. Now we will see training in child analysis. Over the past years, many psychoanalysts from the Institute of Psychoanalysis and also trained as a child analyst. In India during the 1950s, about half of the members were also psychoanalysts and the majority of whom had trained in the Melanie Klein techniques. This is a measure of how leading edge child analysis was felt to be that time. At present, these findings of child analysis have progressed into adult field and there are a few child analysis, though still a significant number, there are still a training at the Institute of Psychoanalysis which recently has become a more popular again. In the late 1940s, Arthur Bick with the support of John Bowley founded child psychotherapy training at the Ravenscroft Clinic. Brick wanted to see if a child analytic work could be brought into the new nation service and convinced with the Melanie Clinic that it was possible to conduct authentic psychoanalytical therapy for children seen with less frequently than the 5 times weekly treatments. Melanie Clinic found this technique is convincing and so with her blessing the first training user technique was started. The training has been led at different times by other internationally known child analysts and child psychotherapists, Martha Harris, Donald Meltz, Gina Williams, Anne Alvarez and Margaret Rustin to the name but very few. It has continued to over since and it is now largest child psychotherapy training in the UK. Later the wish to spread child analytical work beyond the London led first to endeavour with the training of the Scottish Institute of Human Relations and more recently the Northern School of Child and Adolescent Psychotherapy and Birmingham Trust of Psychoanalytical Psychotherapy. There are also much training in psychoanalytical institution and child psychotherapy organizations and all over world using Melanie Klein techniques. Now we will see what are the role of the parents for play therapy. When parents bring their children to therapy because a school or agency push for to do so, there were more involved parents in the treatment, the more faster it works. For every child, parents' help cooperation is very much essential to treat the child in trouble. There may be several other reasons also. We can include parents as a primary source of information. They help to tell their own perceptions of their child behavior at home and with the siblings. They can give a complete history of child development as well as they can explain the reasons for referral. While dealing with the parents, therapists as well as clinicians should listen carefully and patiently so that the parents also feel comfortable and trusting to speak candidly and fully. With this, parents' role also plays an important role in treating the child. Let's move on to conclusion. Play therapy is a form of therapeutic renewal guided by a therapist or a trained by person. Therapeutic play has a proven value across the wide range of childhood problems. As Brain Scott Smith has shown, play is a viable model of adaptive human functioning, in which adaptability is achieved by the limber use of symbols and narratives. By the age of 3 and sometimes earlier, children play out their troubles with impressive flexibility as they manipulate meanings symbolically. Play therapy, by formalizing a context for the children, self-guided play highlights the importance of play and adaptive healing generally. Children's intense involvement in the particular play themes can be telling indicators of understanding unsolved issues, including for physically ill children, given time to engage in present freely. Children playfully confront difficult meanings on their own terms. Peggy Miller-Sonkert, as an early age too resistant, and retold the story of Peter Rabbit repeatedly in a home setting using ingrained authoritarian license in his retellings. His story reconditions ran in the parallel with his everyday emotions concerned about misbehavior and its anxious implications. Play can be potentially encode what it is not resolved in approachable and comfortable framework. Play therapy in a clinical settings enables children to address even extreme disruptions scaffolded by the empathetic and supportive adults.